If you spend any time on social media, and I do, I'm sure you're detecting that there is a lot of loneliness out in the world. And now a new Harvard study says more than one in three Americans are lonely. Let's talk this over with brain health coach and consultant Leigh Richardson. Leigh returns to the Newsmaker line this morning. Leigh, thanks for taking the time. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
So, Leigh, do you agree with, that's a startling number. 1 in 3 Americans say they are lonely. Do you agree with that figure?
Well, I do. And I base that off of what I see at the Brain Performance Center. And I think before the pandemic, 1 out of 4 U.S. Americans over the age of 12 was suffering from anxiety, depression, or a substance abuse problem. We know what the pandemic did to us, those 2 years. And I think that, a lot of people during that time, we were forced to be lonely. We had to socially isolate. And for some people, they lost their sense of communities. They couldn't go to church. They couldn't go to the gym. They couldn't go to school. And I think a lot of us are still grieving for what we've lost. And I think that contributes to loneliness.
And Leigh, in this Harvard survey, 61% of young people say that they're lonely. That is, again, a huge number. What's particular to young people in loneliness here?
Well, I found it interesting that the way that they measured that is 61% of the young people said that nobody takes the time to really talk to them in a way that shows that they care. And there's a learning that we can all take away from that. We all were in a hurry. We're busy. But when you see somebody and they look a little isolated or they look a little down, take 5 minutes out of your day and go over and just say, hey, how is your day going? No, come on, tell me how your day is really going. Give me something besides that great answer. So I think that I was surprised that is where that 61% came from.
So, Leigh, that sounds like, though, that it would be easy for people like us to say, oh, gosh, how can they shake themselves out of it? But it sounds like is that we need to really step in and with the people in our life and help them out of their loneliness. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. And thank you for picking up on that, because we have a responsibility, not just for ourselves, but we have a responsibility to be part of a community. And that community supports each other.
And so, Leigh, now let's go back to the person that's feeling lonely. Is it tough for them to approach a friend and say, can I talk to you for 5 minutes about what's going on in my life? Or is there something they can do, not be so afraid to engage other people?
Well, you make a good point. They can. But sometimes when you're down in the dumps, it's hard. It's really hard to say, hey, I just want to tell you what's going on with me. And you're thinking, well, they don't want to hear it. I don't have anything good to say. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. So, there's all that negative self-talk that's going through their head that I think keeps them from reaching out.
Yeah.
And maybe they've tried. And the one time they tried, it didn't go so well. Then they've got that, that inner voice saying, well, told you so. Told you shouldn't have done that. So it's a lot of negative self-talk, I think, that keeps people from doing that.
Leigh, what do you think is the implication of that? When it's such a big number like this, what kind of impact does it have on us as a people?
Oh, it has a huge impact. I was looking at a study the other day that went back to 2015 that studied the impact of loneliness on mortality. And people, when you're lonely, you have health issues. They've shown a link to heart disease. So it's got a huge impact, not only on our mental health, but our physical health.
Leigh Richardson of the Brain Performance Center. Love talking these issues over with Leigh. Leigh, thanks so much for joining me today.